Hello, in this video I'm gonna add the time factor to our building construction. Right now when we go to the shop and place a building on the grid, it will be placed immediately. But we want to build that after a certain time has been passed. So to do that, first we need to add a few columns to our database. So let's go to the database. Here in the server buildings, I'm gonna go to structure and add a new column, and I name it build time. It's gonna be an integer, and as defined, let's put 0, and let's go to the browse. As you can see here, the build time has been added to our records. So this is gonna be in seconds, how many seconds it will take for the building to be constructed or upgraded. Now let's just temporarily add 10 seconds for all of them. And now let's go to the buildings table. Here also I'm going to add 2 columns. The first one is going to be construction time, and it's going to be a date time. And let's put the default value of current timestamp. And the second one is going to be is constructing. And let's make it a tiny int, and as defined equals to 0, and let's say the length for this one is 1, and this is gonna be constructing. Let's save this. Now let's go to the browse, and as you can see, those values has been added. So now let's go to the server, and here in the data we're going to add those columns to our building class. So the first one is going to be a date time, and the second one is going to be is constructing. Now let's also add one more element to our player class. I'm gonna name it now time, and it's gonna be a date time showing the current time of the server. And now let's copy these classes and paste them in our client as well to match both scripts in the client and the server. So that is our player, and let's go and copy the building as well. So let's actually just copy those 2 values we've added, and I'm just gonna paste it down here. Now here in the server, let's go to the database, and here in the update, let's create another boolean just like this, collecting. So I'm gonna copy and paste it. Let's say updating. And here I'm gonna say if we are not updating, then let's create a function for it. Let me just use this update collectibles. Just gonna copy this too, paste them down here. So let's say general update, and let's also create a date time exactly like this. Copy and paste it here. Here I'm just gonna name it update time, and of course in the updating, let me copy that, paste it here, and instead of collect time I'm gonna use update time, and here I'm gonna assign update time equals to date time now, and of course I'm gonna call general update and pass delta time. So we're finished here. Let's go down there. I'm gonna name this general update async, and this is going to be general update async, and this is going to be updating. Here let me just remove this one. We only need one query, and this is going to be update buildings, and let's just remove all of this, and we're gonna say set level equals to level plus 1, where let's go and check out the database. Here is constructing greater than 0, and let me check out the other row. Construction time is less or equals than now. So we don't have any parameters, so let's just remove that, and this is gonna take care of our building updates. And let's go to the place buildings. So here in the place building async, when we insert into buildings, we're gonna also pass the level, and the level is going to be 0. And we're also going to set is constructing and construction time. And the values of these two, the first one is constructing is 1, and the second one construction time equals to now plus interval, and some value is going to be third parameter second. So we need to get that value from the database. We're going to do that using a select statement. Let me find one. So let's say from here till here, I'm going to copy that and paste it inside our connection area. And this is going to be select build time from several buildings, where global ID equals to that. So let me just remove all of this. We don't need them. We only going to need an integer. So that's that, and this integer is going to be build time. And let's actually add the build time up here. So let's say end time equals to 0, and this is here time equals to that, and of course this is going to be building.id, and let's remove that string. And here in our condition we also add another parameter if time greater than 0, and the rest of the condition. Here in the insert statement we added another parameter. Let's actually make this 4. We already have a 3 here. So the 5th parameter with the index of 4 is going to be time. This many seconds will be added to now, and that will be the end of our construction time. So let's see, everything should work now. Let me collapse that. Let's also get down here in the update collect async. Let me collapse those and open this. So in the query update buildings, some values, we're gonna add another condition and say buildings.level greater than 0. We're gonna do the same thing here. So that should take care of that. And let's go to authenticate player async. I think we added a town hall here, and we don't want it to be inserted as level 0. So let's also add a level here, and it should be 1. So that should take care of that. Let's collapse this as well. And now let's go to the get player data async. We're going to select ID gems and now as now time, and here I'm going to add another field. Let's say data dot now time equals to date time dot parse, and we're going to say now time. So I think we have everything we need in this server. Let's go to the client. And here in the UI, I'm gonna create another script. Let's name it UI progress bar, or just bar, doesn't matter. And I'm gonna open this script. Let's clear it and add the namespace. And also add the Unity engine .ui. And here I'm gonna add a public image. And it's gonna be bar equals to null, and we need to add a rect transform and name it rect. Now we have a few values. Let's say public void set minimum value. The same thing for maximum value and value. So this minimum, this is maximum, and this is value. We also need a few variables here. Let's say private float max equals to 1, minimum equals to 0, and value, let's say 0.5. Here I'm gonna say minimum. Let's actually pass values. And the same thing for this one and this one. This is going to set the maximum, and this is going to set the value. And here we're gonna create another function. Let me just copy that. This is going to be a private one. So let's say adjust UI, and this is a void. I'm gonna call this adjust UI in all of these functions. Let me do it like this, and the same thing here. And I'm gonna say bar dot fill amount equals to value divided by math if maximum minus minimum, and it's gonna be absolute value of that. So let's go and create one of these UI bars here in the canvas main elements, and here in the icons I'm gonna create an empty game object. So this is going to be build bar. I'm gonna add this bar script. The rect transform is going to be itself, and I'm gonna create an image inside of this for our bar. So this is gonna be a little tricky. The image is gonna fill this, and let's resize the bar a little, something like this. And this image, let's readjust it, something like that. Let's actually bring it to the center. We might want to add text above or under it. And here for the source image, for now let's just use that one, and let's change the type to filled, and it's gonna be horizontal. I'm gonna change the color. Of course we need to add a better image than this UI sprite. I'm gonna add that later, but for now let's just use that. And let's select the bar and assign this image to the bar. Let's also add a text here. Let's say text, and I'm gonna change the size. It's a little big. Let's say 0 for now. And let's align it to the center, and it's gonna go up here. Well, actually we're gonna handle the text later. Let me just disable that. And here in my prefabs, let's create a folder. Let's say bars, and let's open this bar, and I'm gonna drag and drop this inside of this. Let me close that. And here in my UI main, let me open this, and here I'm gonna say public UI bar build equals to null. And let's go to the building here in the adjust UI. we need to add a bar first here, doing something like this. Let me just copy those and paste it here. And we don't need a boolean like this because we have a boolean in our data, so we're just gonna say build bar. And let's go to our player. Let's see how we could create this bar. Here in the sync data, let's do something like this. Let me just copy that. And in event of this building being a dot build bar is null, then build bar. And actually we don't have a button, so it's gonna instantiate a bar build, and the type of this build bar should be, let's check this out here in the building, it is a UI bar. So that is going to create that for us, but we also need to disable it. So I'm gonna say building.bar .game object .set active false, and let's go to the adjust UI here in the building, and we also need to add a condition here, and data dot is constructing equals to false. Well, actually let's go to the server and see how we're getting that data here in the Git buildings. Let me open this. We're not getting those values, so let's add them here. I'm gonna just copy this one and this one. I'm gonna copy and paste it here. This is going to be construction time, and let's add it up here first. So buildings dot construction. So we're also going to select those two values, and this is going to be is constructing. It's gonna be an integer, and if it is greater than 0, then that value is going to be true. So let's go back to the client, and here I'm gonna add another condition saying if build bar is not null. I'm gonna add a condition if data dot is constructing, and I'm gonna add an else. So let me just copy that. If it's not constructing, then there is no reason to show that. So let's say build bar is going to be hidden, otherwise it's gonna be shown. Let's put it to true, and also adjust the position of the bar using these values we have here. So I'll copy that, paste it here, and this is going to be build bar dot rect. I also need to add the fill amount. We're gonna do that later. For now, let's just leave it. So let's go to the Unity editor, and here in the UI main, I'm gonna assign the bar we created. And let me save this. And let's start the server. To be honest, I have no idea if we're gonna get an error or not because I changed too much. Here the server has been started. Let's play the game. Okay, we got an error. Let's check this out. Here it is. Input string was not in the correct format. So let me stop the server, and it's because this integer parse is failing. Let's actually check the data type of this is constructing. You're in the buildings structure. It is a tiny int. Let's change it to integer. I don't know, that might fix it. and let's start the server and the client. Yeah, that fixed the problem. And now when we place a building, let's see what happens. Unknown column, elixir mine, and where class. Well, this is actually because the building ID is in a string and we need to add this marks around it. That's not a big deal. Let me stop the client and play the server one more time. And so let's place an elixir mine. And we have another error apparently. Yes, because we don't have a row for level 0 in our database. Let me stop this and add the proper rows in our server buildings. So for each one of these, I need to add a level 0 row as well. So I'm going to go to insert, let's say gold mine level 0, rows 3 and 3, and leave the other things, doesn't matter. Let's do another insert, gold storage level 0, the size 3 and 3, and let's hit go. Another one for elixir mine level 0, 3 and go. Another one for elixir storage level 0, 3 and go, and insert. Well, that's it. Let's go back to the server, play it, and we keep receiving this error. Let me just stop this and add a condition to all of them. We're gonna say if string dot is null or empty, and I'm gonna copy this reader to string, gonna add a question mark 0, otherwise that. So let me just copy and paste it for the rest of my records for the rows, and let me copy and paste it here. Well, inserting this values should have fixed the problem. I think the problem is because, yes, the problem is we're not setting is constructing to false when we're finished constructing. Let's go back to the server, and we don't need to change anything. We can revert back that, but you know, leave it like that, doesn't matter. Let's go to general update async, and here we're gonna set the level +1. We are also going to set the is constructing to 0, and that is going to fix it. Let me save this, and also make sure to delete this row. So let's go and play this, and let's play the client. Stop it first and play it again. And I'm gonna place an elixir mine. Please work. No resources. What about a gold mine? No resources for that as well. I think it's not about resources. Let's go back to the server. Run the place buildings. Let's check it out. I think it's saying no resources because this time is always 0, so there's a problem here. Select build time from server buildings where global ID equals to that and level equals to 1. We're gonna get the build time of level 1. So I'm sure this time it's gonna work. And let's play this. Let's place an elixir mine, and here we go. Well, it works, but it's not showing the construction bar. Let's actually increase the time here in the server buildings to something higher than 10 seconds. let's say 100 seconds. So I stopped the video and I resumed it now after I found out the problem. Here the problem is in our scripts UI and UI bar. Here we need to do a similar thing like UI button, when here in the awake we are setting the maximum and minimum anchor. So we're gonna paste it here, and that should fix our problem, and our build bar should be visible after this. So let's go to the server and play the server, and let's go to the client and play that as well. So when we place a building, as you can see, the bar is going to appear above it. And if we go to the server and check out the buildings, this is the last building that has been placed. The level is still 0. It's been placed at this time and it's gonna finish constructing at this time. And after the time has been passed, let me refresh this. As you can see, the level became 1 and the is constructing became 0. Now let's go to the client and stop this. Here in the main UI, let's bring back the bar prefab, and I'm gonna add a text. Let's go up here, public. So I need to add the namespace using TM Pro. So here I'm gonna say text mesh GUI time equals to null. And here in the adjust UI, let me also create a system.timespan equals to, so we need a date time for this. Let's go to the player. So here is the player, and let's go up here, create a public data dot player and name it data equals to new player data. And whenever we sync the player data, here in the sync data, I'm just gonna say data equals to player. And let's see if we have an instance for the player. No, we don't have. Let's create an instance for the player as well. Here in the UI main, I think we have an instance. Yes, this is UI instance. I'm just gonna copy that, bring it here, and instead of UI main, I'm just gonna say player, the same thing here. And this should be assigned in the awake function. Let me just copy that, paste it in the player and here, and we don't need that. Let me save it. So now we have that. Let me actually pass the system.datetime time. This is gonna be time minus player dot instance dot data dot now time. And here we also need to add a public building equals to null, and let's hide it in the inspector. And whenever we create this UI bar here in the player script, I'm gonna say building dot bar dot building equals to building. And here in the UI bar, let's just remove that, and instead of that I'm just gonna say building dot data dot construction time, and that should give us the remaining time to build this building. And let's say time, which is our text mesh pro text here, dot text equals to span dot to string. Of course, we need to constantly update this date time now, because it's not going to be updated every frame. but we're gonna do that later. Just for now, let's see if it works or not. Here in the editor, let me assign this text mesh pro. And let's also enable it, apply the changes and delete that. Let me save this. The server is still running. Let me play this. Okay, let's place a building. Well, I think it's because the adjust UI is not being called. Let's go back to the building, actually UI bar, and this is not being called for some reason. Let's go to the building. Here, if we are constructing, I'm just gonna say build bar dot adjust UI, and let's make it public. Let's go and say adjust UI. So let's play this and let me see. As you saw that it was constructing, let me construct another one. You can see that this is working, and as I mentioned, because date time now is not updating in every frame, it's a little bit late, but we're gonna fix that. In order to change this bar, we also need to know the build time. We're gonna also fix that later, but I think this is enough for this video. Hopefully in the next videos I'm gonna fix as many bugs as I can find, but I need to think on that. So for now I'm gonna finish this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Have fun and thanks for watching.